Lab number 3.4. In this lab, we continue the development of our technical maintenance assistant application, and right now we'll focus on adding translation to our app. So for this, we will use something called Angular Translate. And basically, this is the open source project, which is really powerful. And we will use it for organizing translation inside our app. So it works like follows. You need to specify the key value pairs like this title and then hello or foo and then a paragraph in several languages, for example, English, and as a second example, we'll use Russian language. And then we will need to use the translation with a specific key to just replace every key that we have with its value in a selected language, just like this. So first of all, we will start with installing this Angular Translate, and to do that, we will use Boyer, and basically we will need to open a terminal, close this live reload, and with a Boyer install Angular Translate. So just like this. And one more thing that we will use here called loader static files. And we will use it in order not to kind of put our values in pure JavaScript, but have a separate files and use async load. So we will install it with a Boyer once again. But now it will be Angular translate loader static files. So those two steps were required. Now we can launch our live reload again. Excellent. So now actually if we will refresh our lib, we should have the downloaded static files and Angular Translate. So now the same way as it's shown in documentation, we should just install them, just load them in our index.html file. So just like this. And they are located under lib. And then we need to do the same with loader static files. So this was the first step, and then basically we need to, just as is shown in documentation, to use this translate service. And for that, let's go to our main page of our guide. So we add dependency to Angular translate. Now we actually need to include it in our Angular module dependency. So we should include this code inside our app.js. Just like this. Now, next step for us will be actually to create some kind of language configuration file, and we will do that in our JS folder. We will create a new file called lang.js, and let's grab it as text from documentation. We will use the static files to, of course, load our languages, this part. And first of all, we'll need to specify that this will be part of our Angular application. So we will use it with the same module. In our case, it's called tech. And then basically we will have we will need to specify the dependency to translate provider, and we will do it like this. And then our code goes here. So basically we will have the following. We will have our files located in a separate folder. Let's call it something like lang. And then we will have a name of language.json, and by default we will use English language. So just like this. Let's create those files inside language folder. So first of all, let's create a folder, and then two files inside. One will be for English in JSON, and second, let it be Russian, like ru JSON. So in those files, we should have some kind of key value pairs in JSON format. So we will use something like lang that will be equal to English in case of English, or Russian in case of Russian. And let's, for a test, use something like search that will be on the second page. And in case of English, it will be equal to search. And in case of Russian language, this will be equal to Russian. And, well, let it be something like Russian search. And we need to place the same here in English JSON file, just like this. So now we have our languages, we have preferred English language, and the only thing that we are missing, we actually need some kind of action. So the trigger to translate language. And yeah, the second thing actually is we are missing the statement what to translate. So let's do a trigger in our login HTML. The trigger will be our button, and we will on click do ng click, and we will call the specific function. Let's call it something like switch language. And instead of English, here we will have following construction. We will have lang with a translate filter applied that will use actually a translation from those files that we just created. And then we will need to specify this function inside our controller. So let's open our controller. and just like this. And here we need to use something like translate use, and inside specify that the key for translation, so either in, either ru, but because we do not want to translate it only to one language, we want to be dynamically, so if there will be another language, we need to be able to use next one. So we will use the following construction, like this. So in case our language is not English, we will change it to Russian, and if it's not Russian, we will change it to English, something like this. Of course, we need to add dependency for translate here, and we also need to load our lang.js file here in index.html. So let's preview our app. So we have English here, and it doesn't do anything. Let's check. So it doesn't seem to give any error, but in ng-click we forgot to specify that this is the function actually. Yeah, so let's go back to our login and specify that switch language is actually a function. So now we're seeing that our button actually works. So we have either English, either Russian language here. And let's check what's happening inside. So we need also replace this search. So let's do it with the same construction. So inside our main page, instead of this placeholder search, let's place search here. And let's change to Russian and check. Yep, so now it's showing our Russian search. So next thing for us is actually to replace all the variables with translation and use normal files for that. Let's start from our main screen, I mean login, the first one, and basically in the login screen we already replaced language, so it's okay. We need to replace also demo with the same construction here. Let's name this demo. Then we need also to replace application name or the main headline. So let's name this headline. Let's do the same for username and password. So username and password. And then on this screen, the only thing that we actually missing will be the sign in. So let's name this the same, sign in, just like that. So we finished with our first screen, login screen. Let's now go back to the main page. So on the main page, we already replaced search. We should replace also these default things like type and depot. Task name, I believe, will be in native language, so we don't need to replace this somehow. So this will be depot, and this will be type. Task name will stay the same. Search we already replaced. We don't have anything else here, so it is okay. And we now can go to next page. So this one is details page. And here we need to replace several things. So first of all, let's replace passport details. And then we already have depot. We already have type. We don't have station yet, but we need to create it. Then task description will be part of our input, so this won't be replaced with anything. Then we need to replace the buttons. So accept and decline. Just like this. Yep. And the last thing that should be replaced is actually the don't agree page. And here we will have a few things to replace. So first of all, this question. Let's name it something like why decline. Then we will need to replace reasons. Let's name this missing docs. Second will be not valid. And not enough resources, just like this. And last one will be other. And then we will need to replace also placeholder for your reason. So we'll specify the same thing here, like your reason. And then two buttons, OK and back. Just like this. Now let's create those key value pairs inside our json. So we had here on the login page, let's go back to login page. We had here demo. That will be the same demo. We also, let me prepare for us a structure so it will be easier to include new things here. It should be enough. So next thing is the headline. And in our case, it's TM assistant. Then we had username. Then we had a password. Sign in. And that's all on the first page. So the second page contained type and depot, and both things translated the same way, so type and depot. Then we had passport details. Station, because depot is already there. And actually we missed date of manufacture, so let's add date of man, something like this. Then two buttons, accept and decline. Just like this. And the last page, we had a question, why decline? That should be equal to something like, why are you declining this task? And then several reasons. So missing docs. Not valid for a task as not valid for this depot. Then not enough resources. And other. With other reason, as you remember, called your reason. And then two buttons. Okay. And the second one for back button. So let's save this. And you remember that we need also to add this date of man, because we forgot about this. Do not agree in passport details. Sorry, in our details page, in passport details. Just like this. And basically the same way as we did with English file, we need to grab the Russian one. And we will just grab that from our host machine lab34 files. So we'll grab this Russian translation file and replace existing one inside language folder. And now let's check our app from the beginning. So you see nothing is happening. Actually, let's inspect what is wrong. Unexpected token. Yeah, it looks we missed something in our English translation. Yeah, exactly. We don't need this last comma. So this is the English version. Russian is also working. Excellent. So let's check everything. English, search, type, depot, passport details. We have everything here. Accept, decline. Missing documents, not enough resources. So actually everything working as expected. So let's check Russian one. Yeah, so everything actually working as expected. Excellent. So we can go back to main page, and on this step our labs before is finished. Thank you.